The eyes of the revolution are everywhere. President Maduro's militia still trying to keep the people in line. And in the town of Yare, locals queue to sign his petition against the US. Many here have given years to the socialist cause, and this was a Venezuelan showpiece, but the facade is crumbling. If you need medical help in Yare, you don't look to the government. It struggles to provide even a painkiller. You come here to a clinic run by the Catholic Church with support from the European Union. Outside, the local priest, Padre Pancho, tries to reassure his suffering flock, urging them to keep faith.
It's a catastrophe, a dictatorship. The people are on the verge of rising up. It's like gunpowder about to explode, because every day is more difficult.
The Padre says between 10 and 20 babies are dying every month. And when we asked who had already buried a loved one, here was the show of hands. This is just one street corner in one town. Everybody here has raised their hands. Every single one of these women say they have lost a relative in the last few years because of hunger or because of lack of medicine. And imagine that across the whole country. Imagine how many people may have died needlessly. We went from the clinic to the cemetery with Lizette and her granddaughter Winifred. It's a year since they buried Winifred's cousin, Franez. They say the sweet-natured, outgoing girl was admitted to hospital with a respiratory infection. There were no drugs to treat her. One day later, she was dead. Every time I remember her, I feel like crying, says Winifred. She was just 22, just beginning to live, and she was studying. My aunt just cries all the time. And the further you go, the more suffering you find. In the countryside nearby, a landscape of lush beauty. Until you look closer. This putrid stream brings parasites and sickness to the village of Tocaron. It's the only drinking water. So Yusivele has to do this every day. Her dream of being a doctor has been left behind. Her family can't afford to send her to school. At 14, her lessons are about hardship. Before, we never went hungry, she told me. We always ate well. Everyone is hungry now, and mums and dads have to stop eating so they can feed their children. Her aunt Angie is an example of that, going hungry herself to spare her children. Her husband complained at work about how they have to live. The next day, he was dismissed from his government job. Her neighbour Esteban also lives hand to mouth with his family. He can't let go of the dream of Venezuela's revolution, but for others here, it's long gone. Orla Guerin, BBC News, Yare.